Lovejoy is known for community, connection, and excellence. And those are three things that I feel very strongly about. With Practice Plan, we've actually year over year seen a 62.5% increase in our revenue
Wow.
in facilities rentals.
Big thanks to Practice Plan for allowing us to use their booth today. If you are needing revenue in quick and efficient manner, you need to reach out to Practice Plan. Easy, seamless facility rental. Thank you to John and the team for allowing us to be here. Welcome back to another episode of The Path Forward. We're here, TASA Midwinter, Austin, Texas, 2025. I have a very special guest and quite possibly the best name for a school district in the state of Texas. So welcome, Katie Kordel, Superintendent, Lovejoy ISD. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rick. I'm very glad to be here.
So this is our first opportunity to meet, and I want to learn a little bit about your career, what districts you've worked in, and ultimately how you came to Lovejoy.
Absolutely. Well, I started out in 1999 as a teacher in Allen ISD, a fabulous school district, and had an incredible experience. I was a high school biology teacher. I was there for about 5 years. Then I went to Frisco ISD for 16 years. Then back to Allen ISD for almost 3 years, and then now in Lovejoy ISD.
So it's safe to say I'm a stereotype here. You've got to be a football fan since you worked in Allen. I'm guessing that comes with the territory.
Well, I think football in Texas and high school football in North Texas is highly competitive and a wonderful area for our community to get involved. We get excited for the kids, and we love it in Lovejoy because football includes our band, our athletic trainers, our cheerleaders, our majestics, and it gives all of our students the opportunity to come together and our community to come together and support them on Friday night. So
I've got to ask, why Lovejoy? What drew you there? Why apply? Why say, you know what, this is where I belong?
There was no question when the Lovejoy Superintendency came open, I knew I wanted to apply. Lovejoy is known for community, connection, and excellence. And those are three things that I feel very strongly about.
What lessons do you take from your districts as you transition? You know, everybody does things a little bit differently, and you're around different types of leaders and can pick up some things. So from your previous experiences, what are the lessons that you now use as the leader of Lovejoy?
I have been remarkably blessed being in three outstanding school districts and have had mentors in all of them and have been able to learn from them. And every district, as you said, does things differently, and they should, because you've got a community that has unique needs and desires and a unique vision for their children, and really making sure that you dial into that is what I've learned, that doing things different is the way you honor your community.
That's right. So when you got the call and you knew you got the job, take me through like your emotions, and then how did you tell your family? What was the process?
Well, I was elated. It was such a great opportunity. And you have all the emotions. You have the joy, the hope, the opportunity, and then you also have
fear, a little bit of fear.
That healthy sense of fear that you should have when you're moving into something you haven't done before,
right,
that you know is going to be a challenge. And so all of those things were there. But immediately I got out in the community, and we have very involved parents, and they did a phenomenal job of hosting numerous meet and greet opportunities. And the more people I got to know, the more I absolutely fell in love with Lovejoy ISD.
When you're having those initial meetings and really introducing yourself to the community, what is the one takeaway you wanted them to have? Like, if nothing else, that I want them to know this about me.
I wanted them to know that it's students first, that all of my decisions, even when they may be difficult or unpopular, that they are always going to be made in the best interest of our students.
You know, there's so much about how we work with students, but ultimately getting the teachers to come along with the vision, right? Wherever that vision may lie and however we feel is best for kids. How do you take a tradition of excellence that's there, but put your own touch, your own flavor on it to really elevate success?
I think, first of all, whenever you transition to a new school district, you've got to have a respect for what came before you,
Sure.
and a respect and understanding that we all stand on the shoulders of those that came before us, the courageous decisions that they made, the sacrifices they made. So it started from a place of respect, because long before I got there,
Right.
Lovejoy ISD had that tradition of excellence. And then working together as a collaborative team to continue to honor that and further that. And part of furthering that is making sure we're working in partnership with our teachers and our educators and staff, and they are part of that visioning of what we can do together next to serve our students.
How would you categorize like your leadership, coaching, mentoring style? Now you're in the role of superintendent, and obviously you're going to grow others around you.
Mhm.
How do you do that? What's your methodology?
It focuses on culture and being very clear about what our culture is, and then how our behavior and actions are going to align with that culture. We have 5 culture tenets in Lovejoy, and those start with relationships.
Okay.
Everything begins and ends with relationships. We are in the people business. We do everything through and with people. So relationships, collaboration, learning, results, and fun. So we take our work very seriously in terms of serving kids and being highly responsible for those outcomes on behalf of our students. And we have a ton of fun doing it, and take joy on a daily basis in the precious work we get to do with the children we get to work with.
I get the sense that you're a very detail oriented person. Am I just because you're so specific and tight on, and that's a good thing because you know this well as I do. Oftentimes, as leaders, you hear a lot of broad concepts,
Mhm.
but not necessarily how it translates into great instruction or great outcomes for kids. How do you do that? Taking a vision and then actually whittling it down to, okay, this is what it looks like in practice.
Mhm. We do that together. So through a lot of conversation, high level of training, making sure that we are also bringing as many people to the table as
Sure.
possible, because it's not just my vision, it's our vision. We have a phenomenal board of trustees. I mentioned our incredible educators, and we have a lot of conversations about what we believe, how we're going to go about this work, and a mindset of continuous improvement. We're very clear as well on our core values. The first one being, I mentioned earlier, kids come first. Even when it's difficult, even when it means as adults we have to learn something new, make a change, we are going to put kids first. One heart, one love, joy. Meaning we're in this together.
I like it.
We're going to do this together, and then best today, better tomorrow. That we're always going to give it our best, and then we're going to learn what we can learn from the situation and have that mindset of continuous improvement.
Now I got to ask this. So, do you ever get the itch to take a peek at the biology curriculum? What's going on? I'm just asking.
Absolutely, especially if they're dissecting something. I get really
Yeah.
excited. But I would say not just with biology. I loved being a teacher.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved being a teacher. And so I will get drawn in, whether I'm in a kindergarten classroom or whether I'm in a biology classroom at the high school. I just absolutely love it. And that has been one of the greatest blessings about being in Lovejoy ISD. We have about 4,000 students. And prior, I had been in central office in much larger school districts. And in Lovejoy, I really get to know the kids. I know their names, I know their siblings, and now being there 4 years to watch them grow and develop. I have a group of high school students, a advisory council
Sure.
that I work with, and I got to work with them when they were freshmen and got to know them. And now to see them as seniors, getting ready to graduate, it's just been a gift.
They're fairly honest, aren't they? When you're having these discussions,
They are.
they really don't hold back. If you want to know how things are going, your kids will tell you. They're
Absolutely.
not shy. No, that's awesome that you're getting the buy-in from ultimately the end consumer, the end user, which is the kids. So yeah, you're coming into Lovejoy and you've been there for a few years, but like most districts around the state, struggling with finance, struggling with funding. I feel like we've been struggling with funding forever. Um, you have created some innovative ways to help bridge some of those gaps that either the state or a funding formula do not take into account. Can you share a little bit about how you're doing that?
Absolutely. Revenue generation has become very important as school funding has become even more and more challenging. Many districts throughout the state are operating on a deficit budget, Lovejoy included. We spend about $612 per student more than what we are receiving in funding, which means, back to that revenue generation, extremely important. We actually make up a portion of that gap. So I I mentioned $612 per student spending more. We make up about 74% of that through local revenue generation, and that includes our foundation, and it also includes facility rentals.
Okay. And so what led you to those opportunities? So if you think about facility rentals, because I think every district I know has some facilities regardless of size. So tell me a little bit more, right? You're renting them out to the neighborhood, to anybody can use them. How does that work?
We are renting them out to the community,
Okay.
and that might be members of the Lovejoy community or in the surrounding areas. We're very fortunate. We have some beautiful facilities,
Yes.
and they're not used all the time for our sports and our organizations. And so during that time that they're not used, we want to maximize that value and bring those dollars back in.
I've got to imagine that's a little bit of a strain on staff. Like, how do you, from your athletic director to everybody involved, to really reap the benefit of stuff like that? How does your staff manage that?
It was a big challenge for a while, and then we were very fortunate. There was a community member locally who actually has some Lovejoy ISD graduates,
Okay.
and by the name of John Brosho, and he was founding and creating a company called Practice Plan.
Okay.
And his business model was such that he would have the software, the application, to be able to facilitate your facility rentals at no cost to the district, and that was a great value proposition for Lovejoy.
You got my attention.
Yeah, he got my attention with that. And then we knew John, having been a very involved community member, always has the best interest of our kids and our community in mind and our school district. So there was a high level of trust there, and
Sure.
it's been nothing but a extremely positive experience. It's actually we have been able to reduce the number of personnel that have to be involved. It's increased efficiency. It's increased our effectiveness, and then increased our revenue.
Wow. I mean, districts are looking for opportunities to do that all across the state, and really, pounding the pavement, trying to figure out how do we bridge gaps like that. That's not something that leaders do naturally. How did you learn to do that? How is it intuitive, or where did you get the skill set to realize, okay, we've got this, and the normal methodology is not going to work, so we've got to innovate, we've got to search for options out of the traditional system that we've known. How do you do that as a leader?
Absolutely. I think all superintendents are being pushed there to a certain level because of the pressure of school funding. But there's some of that pressure that's good because it requires you to innovate and seek other partners. And so while I wish the school funding situation was different, we also have been able to be creative and find these options. And with Practice Plan, we've actually year over year seen a 62.5% increase in our revenue
Wow.
in facilities rentals.
Wow, that's a huge contribution and a huge help to bridging some of that gap. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon, where districts are trying to do more with less. As a leader, what advice would you give superintendents that are about to assume the role, or the aspiring superintendents? What are some of the things that they have to consider that's now new to the role that maybe wasn't there 5, 10, 15 years ago?
Absolutely. That is such a great question. I would say that the pressures that the lack of resources puts on the people and on the system, you've got to take care of people, because not only are you having to innovate, you are also having to make some changes just for efficiency's sake, which may not be ideal, or having to happen on a quicker pace than you normally would go through the change process. And throughout that, as much as possible, taking care of people, communicating with people, making sure that they know the why.
I'm just kind of floored by, you've got almost like a CFO entrepreneur type of mindset, which is not, we're usually the curriculum side, or we're coaching and feedback side. Where does that come from? Where in your background do you have that lens to work through some of that?
I've always been interested in that side of things. Where I really got to grow it was in Frisco ISD.
Okay.
Because I was there during the 16 years I was there was during the tremendous growth. And then there was some very innovative thinking on the part of people that were part of the city and
Sure.
part of the school district, and in terms of partnerships. So partnerships with the Dallas Cowboys, partnerships with FC Dallas. And then I seeing that model, being at the time I was over curriculum instruction, and I thought, wow, if they can innovate in that way to benefit the district on the business and operations side, how can we use it to innovate in regard to creating student experiences that would not otherwise be available? So we created a number of partnerships to create student opportunity.
I love that. What are you most proud of about Lovejoy?
Oh, the students and the impact that they're having. I'm very proud of how involved they are. They take full advantage of extracurricular opportunities, whether it be academic, athletic, or the arts, but then they use those gifts and talents to serve others. This last graduating class of 2024, had over 10,000 hours of community service.
Oh, wow.
Our students, if they are part of a program, and most of them are, over 90% of our students are involved in some extracurricular activity. They are expected to give back to our community or give back to the younger students and serve as a model for them. And then what's great is our younger students want to grow up and be like them and be
Yes.
involved and be a contributor.
Do you feel like I remember when I was in elementary and middle school, like there was always a respect and kind of admiration for the upper class, but I feel like we've lost a little bit of that in some areas. Do you feel like that you have that in Lovejoy, where it's like I want to be the next lead in the play because I saw my high school, either my brother's friend, or I want to be the quarterback. Do you get that sense where there's still kind of that admiration for the
Oh,
older kids?
100%. As a matter of fact, because our high schoolers will go over all the time and mentor them, the younger ones will stand outside, whether it be the musical. I saw that we did Cinderella on Friday night. The little ones were standing outside waiting for autographs from
That's
them.
awesome.
Whether it's a volleyball game, a football game, they will stand outside with the ball, and they know the high schoolers' names. They want them to sign their ball, and it's great because they want to be like them. They want to be
Yes.
involved, and we know involved students are going to be spending their time on the right pursuits.
They're going to learn, they're going to achieve, they're going to graduate, and they're going to go on to be successful because they've got a path to do it because they're seeing others do it and they're involved with that. All right, I got to ask you some silly questions.
Okay.
On your cabinet, who's most likely to crack a joke when in a serious meeting?
Oh my goodness. I would say anyone.
Oh,
So I mentioned fun. We like to laugh.
Okay, you got to
We
give me
like
at
to
least
laugh.
one silly story
Oh
that
my
you can share.
goodness. So we love to laugh, and we love to laugh at ourselves. So we'll dress up quite a bit. So we had a blast the week before the winter holiday. We have Grinch Day in kindergarten.
Okay.
So I dressed up as the Grinch, full Grinch, green makeup, green eyes, the whole thing. And then they are such good sports. They were dressed up as all the Grinch characters, and we went out to the kindergarten and we read them The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. And the kids had a blast.
Oh,
Half
sure.
of them thought we were real. Half of them knew who we are.
You started getting emails from fans.
Yes, half of them knew who we are, and they said, "I know you. You're really the superintendent." And I was like, "No, I'm the Grinch." So we have a good time over the Halloween time period. We bring treats to the teachers in their rooms and pass those out. And I dressed as a hot dog, and somebody was a hamburger and a French fry and ketchup. And so we just like to be silly and laugh where we can. You got to keep it fun. If we're not having fun, the kids aren't having fun.
100%. And there's so much pressure and so much need and so the urgency to do all of these things, and if you can't keep it light at times, right, it sucks the joy out of it, right?
Absolutely.
So I applaud y'all for doing that. Who would be most likely to do an impression of you if you weren't there?
Oh, well, Anna Koenig, who you met before this, our Executive Director of Human Resources and Communication, she is great. But her first year in the district, she thought it would be funny, I think, to, get back at me. She made, during the holidays, Kordel on a bell, and it was this tiny little elf that looked like me. And they made little blonde short hair and gave it little earrings, and I often had a certain bracelet that I would wear. And they put the little bracelet on her, and they would hide her. And if people
God.
found her, they got a gift card or some sort of treat from Anna. So I think that was Anna's way of just,
poking
just
at
kind
you.
of poking at me.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. That's one of the best ones I've heard. you know you have a good team when they're comfortable enough to poke at you a little bit.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
We have to be able to laugh at ourselves.
That's excellent. Well, I can't thank you enough for spending some time, and it was a pleasure, meeting you and then hearing your journey, but also just the great things that are happening in Lovejoy, and your innovative mindset on regardless of what the state throws at us or whomever, right? Use it as an opportunity to create and innovate and continue to deliver unbelievable outcomes for students. So kudos to your team, your community, and most of all, kudos to your kids. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Rick. Appreciate it.
You got it. And if you like what you heard and saw, please like, subscribe, share, comment. We're trying to bring you the best of the best in Texas and in superintendents and leadership. So join us again on the path forward.